All right, eto na. So, officially, we can talk about ex-Unity members. Isa dyan, siguro mga si Digong or mga kaibigan niya. So, ito, can we now talk about Arroyo, ex-deputy, ex-senior deputy, ex-deputy, ang daming mga levels eh. The ex-president Arroyo and ex-president Digong officially joining the opposition. I mean, how is this? Of course, for conceptual purposes, I make a distinction between functional opposition and ideological opposition. Ideological opposition means you really want reform in the country, progressive for that matter. Functional means hindi na kayo in charge, so counter-elite na kayo, di ba? So, but do you think the ideological and functional can work together, or is there going to be another realignment na naman mangyari dito, or will there be two types of opposition, or three for that matter, because there's also the Makabayan bloc? What's going on here? Ronald.
Well, Richard, sa marami naman nating previous episodes, malinaw naman yung tingin natin dito eh. Hindi naman to unexpected, no? At sabi nga natin kanina, hindi naman to slow burn.
Pero
no?
ang bilis eh! Ang
diba?
bigla yung purge!
Dahil wala naman kasing unity talaga eh, di ba? Wala naman yung sinasabi mong different kinds of unity. Kahit yun eh, didn't exist eh. Just a hot air balloon, no? Na sumabog ng napakabilis, no? Dahil nga wala namang substance yung unity na yan. At yun, nakikita natin ngayon, no? Nakakatawa lang pag papakinggan mo si Digong yesterday na he's calling for a principled opposition, no? Kaya mong i-spell yun? No? Kaya mong i-spell yun? Principled opposition. So, hindi yan kasama sa binanggit mo.
Principled neutrality.
So, hindi yan kasama doon sa kwal mo, sa ideological, operational, no? Sinabi niya principled opposition. Yan yung mangyayari dahil kailangan niya ng demokrasya. No, para maging demokratiko ang Pilipinas, kinakailangan ng principled opposition. Ang problema, mayroon pa siyang binanggit. No? Within that framework of a principled opposition, within that framework of democratic space, ay kailangan pag-usapan publicly ang kudeta. No?
Ayan na naman tayo para talaga
di ba? So nakikita mo yung contradiction in terms yung idol mo eh. Yan yung tatay mo, di ba? In a few minutes, no? Kinontradikta niya yung sarili niya, no? Pero
it didn't even take 2 minutes.
Kailangan mo take at face value, no? Yung mga sinabi niya, no? At yan sabi niya, ang dami na nag-aalisan sa PDP laban. Sabi na, hindi ako affected niyan. No, ang mahalaga kasi prinsipyo. Ang mahalaga kasi yung katauhan ng mga matitira. Kahit ako na lang ang matira, ipaglalaban ko ito. Di ba? Very quixotic eh. Very quixotic yung kanyang struggle eh. No? Kahit isa na lang siya.
Cervantes talagang vibes.
Di ba? Yung kwan, di ba? So, makikita natin, it will get worse in the next few weeks or months, no? Dahil because of the elephant in the room, papayagan ba ang ICC na lalabas na sooner or later, early next year, no? Yung warrant. At baka, kung totoo yung Vera Files, kasama yung anak. Kasama si Sarah. No? Kung totoo yung nilabas ng Vera Files,
si West Philippine Sea,
World Cup. Mukhang kasama rin yun.
Kasama yun kasi yun yung Robin
Tokhang yun Tokhang.
Hindi si Robin Hood ang pinag-usapan natin.
Si Robin Hood ba? Hindi kasama yun.
Batman Robin.
Yung isa. Tapos
si Robin Hood, wala nang
Sinarado mo na yung Sinarado mo na yung gripo sa Vice President, di ba? No? Bagamat wala pa yung impeachment na nakikita, hindi improbable yon, no? Ngayon may nag-file na ng case sa Supreme Court yung mga experts about confidential intelligence. So, pwedeng later gamitin yan as a basis for impeachment. Hindi ko sinasabi na gagamitin sinasabi ko lang pwedeng gamitin. So the predicate ay mukhang sineset na, no, ng iba't ibang mga forces. Hindi necessarily in coordination with each other, pero complementing each other, no?
So may video actually kanina, I just saw it, may video na si Sara Duterte, Vice President Sara Duterte, very maamo siya all. Sinasabi niya, umaasa kami na ang dunong ng Korte Suprema ay magiging daan upang tulayang matapos ang usapin na ito. So parang she's hoping na rule of law will prevail and that the Supreme Court will side with. And then sobrang maamo siya na mabait version na post Mount Apo rise. I mean, we're seeing a difference Sara Duterte. This very,
Hindi ko actually, hindi ko sigurado kung magpo-prosper yung case na yan. Dahil ang tatamaan dyan, hindi lang naman yung Vice President. Yung nag-release ng pondo is Malacanang. So maraming tatamaan dyan, no? Yung budget, yung Malacanang. So hindi ko alam how the Supreme Court will face this issue. No? Dahil syempre, marami sa kanila beholden pa or hindi bubunggo sa ruling president, sa ruling government, especially this early, no? 1.5 years pa lang.
Pero parang may pagka I don't know how to put it. It's like, but ano ba talagang gusto ni BBM? Kasi in a way parang okay, parang tama na yung mga Duterte na yan, but it looks like it's quite an open field from there. I think like if I mean, just look at us, no? I mean, we're looking at many possibilities suddenly opening up, no? Good and bad and ugly, right? But there's some good possibilities. I mean, if you're a progressive Supreme Court justice, or at least a reasonable one, won't you say like, hindi naman ako ni BBM eh. And anyway, di ba, inaway na si BBM dati kasi hindi pinagbigyan yung VP niya kay Lenny, di ba? So I don't know. I mean, what's going on here?
Well, in a way, it's the Philippines, so anything goes here, no? Pero balance of forces, I doubt kung gagalawin nila yung presidente. Pwede sila maging selective.
Partial.
Ang sinasabi nila Barry Gutierrez, ang humingi kasi nung intelligence fund yung vice president. Kaya mas mas vulnerable dito sa kaso na ito.
Yeah,
pero sa kanyang hindi na nag-release. Diba?
Yeah. No, you're right, Ronald. Sorry for cutting it. I mean, you're right. I mean, the Supreme Court can split the difference here, right? Like the president, of course, needs it. I mean, your president Aquino, the late president Aquino, also had confidence. Of course, way smaller, but he had it. So actually, it's not hard to justify the president having confidential fund. Yung spare tire may confidential fund, yung MMDA may confidential fund. Yun ang medyo hindi ko maintindihan. Baka yung testa, check pa natin yung testa.
Pero mukhang dito sa kaso na ito, Richard, hindi ito usapin lang ng confidential fund. Usapin ito ng power of the purse. Usapin ito, yun ang sinasabi nilang illegal.
Which is the 2014 ruling.
Oo, unconstitutional. May ruling na dyan eh. Yung Araulio versus Aquino, di ba? Si Bersamin nga, ponente pa yata siya niyan eh, di ba? So, merong clear ruling dyan na hindi ka pwedeng maglagay ng budget, whether yan ay contingency fund, whether yan ay intelligence, hindi ka pwedeng maglagay na non-existent yung line budget. At mismo si Stella Kimbo na dinedepensahan niyan dati, umatras na. Nag-backpedal na sa usapin na yan. No? So, hindi ko sure kung ano pa yung magiging depensa. Tingin ko very vulnerable. No? Ang problema, baka madamay ang Malacanang. Dahil sila yung nag-release ng pondo eh. Kahit ito yung nag-request.
Yeah, you're right. It's medyo the knots that have been tied are a little bit hard to I get what you're saying. That's actually a very good point. But we have very innovative legal things in this country. So I'm looking forward.
Meron nga tayong constructive resignation eh, di ba? Meron pa tayong co-warranto. Di ba?
Yeah, exactly.
Yan, yung co-warranto na yan eh. So maraming mga creative means para
kasi ang Pilipinas magaling gumawa ng batas para hindi mga bagay. Wala tayong mga kotse na nagawa, wala tayong mga international brands ng mga products. Pero sa mga batas, ang dami natin nagawa.
Kaya may problema tayo sa productivity dahil kulang tayo sa engineers, sobra tayo sa lawyers. Buti na lang, hindi tayo pareho lawyer, no?
Or naglolo-lawyeran, yun din isa pang problema natin.
Yeah. Oo. Yung idol ko dyan, si Topacio. Yun.
Ayan.
Pinakamagaling na lawyer yun.
Ako,
tapos singer din. Magaling din yun kumanta sa karaoke. Ayun lang pag nahawakan niya yung mic, hindi na bibitawan.
Yan, si Topacio. Ako po, si Topacio. Binubuli ako.
Yan yung aking idealized icon ng isang lawyer. I'm not being sarcastic Ikaw, nakangiti ka. Akala mo sarcastic ako.
I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you guys. You seem to have a very good dynamic. You and Topacio should have your own show. Paras ko hindi nagbibitawan ng microphone. Paras kayo madaldal. Ako madaldal na ako. Pero para sa akin, madaldal talaga si Ronaldo.
Pagkaunang episode pa lang, barila na yun.
Tuloy, hindi ko na-record kanina. Okay. Let's talk about this. where does this leave the, how should I put it, real opposition? Right? Where does this, what should the real opposition, now let's be strategists, right? Let's put our hats on. So we talked about what are options for Digong and options even for China, right? We're even advising China what to do on this, no? Now, what are the options for the real opposition? I think Lenny was in US. I don't know. Riza is doing pretty fine. I think building. Where does it leave the real opposition? And then once we talk about that, let's also talk about the Makabayan, because the Makabayan has its own axe to grind with Digong. Medyo masaklap din yung situation doon, di ba?
Yes, pero yung Makabayan, standing ovation. Standing ovation kay Martin Romualdez, di ba? Kaya hindi ko alam kung sila ay Makabayan or something else, no? Pero
crossovers na nangyari talaga.
Oo, di ba?
Ito na. Okay.
Oo, di ba? So ayun lang, dapat yung Makabayan has to come clean, no? Dapat tanggapin nila yung kanilang mistake for joining Digong, campaigning for him as president, joining his government, no? Kaya para mas maging credible sila, no? Kailangan tanggapin nila 'yan, no? Na nagkamali kami rito at mea culpa, no? Ito na ngayon yung gagawin namin na bago, no? Dito na kami kay Speaker Martin.
Pero bago tayo kay Martin, in fairness, na-interview ko, ma'am, both si Congressman Castro and also former Congressman Teddy Casino, hindi Teddy Boy Locsin. Mahirap na si Teddy Locsin, baka mag-ano lang kami dyan, magkokolyo.
Umabin ba sila na nakamali sila sa pagsama ni Digong?
They didn't use the word na ganyan, but they kind of explain that was the context and then we realized blah blah blah. All right, because ako naman, di ba, pag in-interview ko sila, I want to be fair, like, I want them to explain the side. Ayoko yung plastikan na ganun. So in fairness naman, I mean, so I suggest yung mga followers natin to check yung interviews natin with both Congressman Franz Castro at saka si Teddy Casino to explain yung context nila. But of course, you know where Ronald stands on this thing, and I also understand where Ronald is coming from, because I also heard that criticism from other progressive social democrat people like Ronaldo. Now, let's talk about the last part. Where does
small R, not the big R.
Where does this leave the Kakampinks and the more traditional Dilawans? Like, what's gonna happen here?
Well, for now, yung Kakampinks ay naglabas ng popcorn at pinapanood lahat ng nangyayari, no? Doon sa paano naman, less than 2 years. So, posible after 1 year, no? Pag ito ay sumabog na or dumating na yung ICC. Paano kung hindi dumating yung ICC? Then tuloy-tuloy si Digong as the hindi ko sinasabing fake opposition, as an opposition party, no? Yung at least yung matitira. Pero kung darating yung ICC, no, ay baka hindi na niya magawa yung plano niya to be the principled opposition sa midterm, no? Yung Kakampinks, no, at this point ay wala pa silang plano, no? Wala pa silang plano. Pero may mga talks na mag-unite, no, led by Bam, Kiko and Sheljok, no, na medyo may fighting chance naman kahit uphill, no? At magsumagsama ng mga bago na kahit hindi winnable, at least makikilala sila as viable candidates in the future. Pero si Risa naman natalo twice bago nanalo, di ba? So using that framework, no, simulang i-harness yung pink wave na hindi naman insignificant last election, i-harness mo yan, lalo na karamihan dyan mga volunteers Hindi naman yan mga botante lang no? Yung votes nila 15-16 million are very considerable. Pero ang mas qualitatively considerable are the networks, no? Are the young volunteers. Yan yung pwedeng maging foundation of a new opposition, no? Hindi ko sinasabi na kasama yung Richard Haydarian diyan, no? Na diyan sa
Ronaldo Haydarian. Pero Karnar, like I want to ask this. Okay, okay. I know it may be a laughable question, but shouldn't the Never Marcos type of opposition have their own unit team with the Dutertes? I mean, because there's some people who are like more anti-Marcos than anti-Duterte, right? Or somehow like that, no? In a sense na napansin ko, parang walang tama kay BBM. Whatever it does, mali. Kasi talagang ayaw lang talaga nila sa Marcoses. While with Duterte, you can say, in fairness, there were moments na, interesting. Yung medyo galit sa oligarchs. Alam natin, medyo fake lahat. But like Digong had certain moments na Marcos has never had. So shouldn't those Never Marcos Dilawans, for instance, work with
Tingin ko, Juan,
Is that counter uniteam or alt uniteam also kind of a thing?
may namomonitor ako na a very small minority na may ganong klaseng impulses na ang tingin nila lesser evil si Digong. Meron ding bigger group na ang tingin ay lesser evil si BBM. At least si BBM pinoprotektahan yung constitutional order at saka yung kanyang foreign policy ay malayo sa China at yung kanyang crime drug policy ay malayong-malayo sa Tokhang. So meron mga ganun naman, tingin ko mas marami. Pero meron din significant group within the pink wave na gustong maging third pole. No? Tingin ko mas malaki yon. Parang hindi pa lang nila maayos. What is the shape of the third pole? Sino ang mamumuno niyan, no? Pero tingin ko substantially mas marami yung nandyan. Although merong maliit na attempt sa Duterte dahil nga yung kanilang banat ay poverty, yung banat nila ay inflation, etc. No? But that's a very, very small minority within the pink wave. Mas marami pa rin yung tingin kay BBM as the lesser evil dahil doon sa tatlong dahilan na binanggit ko. Pero inulit ko, merong nag-iisip na mas malaki about a third pole.
Yun nga, kasi there are also DDS people. I think parang banat ba yung mga ganun na ayaw kay Marcos, diba? Kay Isko sila itong last elections. And then meron pa silang iba ng, like I think, was it Mo Coulson? Sinuport si Cayetano, I think. So ito yung mga hindi Marcos pero pro-Digong, even noon pa. No, nung 2016 onwards. So I think some of these people might be so pissed off with how things have turned out with BBM na parang taksil ang tingin nila na they might be even more open to talking to the Dilawans or Pinklawans. You know? So the small group you're saying, I think is also mirrored in the other side of some of these DDS people are so angry at what's happening right now, they might be willing to, you know, go and work with the Dilawans and all if the never Marcos type of Dilawans, no? So
nagulat nga ako Richard itong spot ko with Robin Padilla. Ang dami kong na-monitor na mga DDS vloggers, no? Na binabanatan si Robin on the issue of China. Ibang usapin naman ito, no, na nang sinasabi nila na kami ay Duterte, no? Iba ay kami ay Marcos. Pero sa usapin ng West Philippine Sea, no, sinusuportahan namin yung sinasabi ni Secretary Llamas kahit siya ay dilaw o pink, no, or pinklawan dahil sa kanila mas ibang issue yung
sila yung never China. Sila yung never
China. Yan yung never China.
Naman never China group ang tawag.
Yung mga yan, no, hindi nila nakikita yung pagiging pro-China ni Tigong. Mas iba yung nakikita nila anti-crime, no, pro-poor, etc. Pero pag tinanong mo sila about China, very clear yung kanilang positioning. No? Kontra sila dito sa China. Sang-ayon sila sa pagdepensa natin sa West Philippine Sea. Nagulat ako hindi ko alam itong mga to. Pero umaamin sila na sila ay DDS.
Never China itong mga to. Ito yung mga lumalapit sa akin dati na alam mo gusto ko si Digong ang hindi ko maintindihan talaga yung China ganon. Ito yung type na I met a lot of them actually before back in the day. So naintindihan ko rin. No, this is not a new species. It has been there for a while at ngayon. Good luck na kay Robin Hood dyan. Thank you so much, Secretary Llamas. We'll just have a short episode after this. Let's talk a little bit also about what's happening again in the Middle East, Gaza, kasi pauwi na yung mga ibang kababayan natin. Actually, I just had interview with on the Secretary Eduardo De Vega also on this situation. Lalabas yan for my other show. So let's just talk about that very shortly. Maraming salamat, Secretary Llamas. I really enjoyed it because yun nga there are many parang intersectional
permutations, no?
Permutations, mutations, ang dami nangyari. So we have to discuss that because it's not either or. Yun ang problema when you think either or, you're missing the picture. It's 50 Shades of Grey. Ay gusto ni Ronaldo yan, yung mga ganyan 50 Shades. Thank you so much.
The small R.
Small R. Yeah.